able to see me. Good to see you joining in. I see a lot of people joining on the site as on YouTube. So everyone, Shri and Utkarsh, some discussion going on the thread about slots. So I hope you guys have all downloaded your admit card and you know which slot you are in. If you have not done that, please download your admit card. It's important that you know and prepare. Oh, should. So I'm live. I can see. Hi, Shravan Kumar, and we enabled the live chat right now. So you guys are seeing on YouTube. Also, you should. And so, guys, good to see. Thank you, Ayush. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who is joining us. Yeah. Hello, Michelle, Harish, and Aditya, Ayush. All of you are joining us. Good to see all of you guys today. We will be starting soon. Mostly be about how to actually tackle RCs, how to improve your accuracy in RCs. What basically find given the types of RCs that. So, guys who have joined us, good to see all of you that are joining us. There was some discussion going on in the chat about the slots, etc. So, firstly, I hope all of you have downloaded your voice lag. Just let me know if you guys can hear me properly or there is a issue with the video. Just tell me if the video quality is not clear or voice is breaking. Oh, sorry. I think yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't wear the mic. I'm so sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys. I'm really sorry about that. Okay, so I hope you are able to hear me clearly, and everyone who is joining is able to hear me clearly. Sorry about the issues, guys. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so we'll be having a test. So all of you joining us, the session will basically be about the different types of RCs that are there, and I'll be taking two popular type of RCs. There will be two sets. The first set, RC set, I'll give around 745 or 750 as such, and I'll try 745. It's a 10-minute set. And the next set, RC2, I will give around 810. Okay, again a 10-minute set. Both sets are very doable, and I also want you to keep an eye on your accuracy in these kind of sets. Firstly, I'll be giving you a brief overview of the type of RCs and what you should be keeping in mind given the type of RC. Also, an idea of what exactly you should do to prepare for the different types of RCs. Also, there was some, I wanted to address this, that was the discussion that was there in the chat earlier about slots. I'm sure most of you know your slot by now, and people who are in slot 1 are unhappy, people who are in slot 2 are unhappy, and even people who are in slot 3 are also unhappy. So there is like some, you can take each slot and find something to be unhappy about or nervous about it. But remember, it doesn't matter as such, because each slot comes with its positives and negatives. If you are part of slot 1, you will be done early in the morning when most people are at their very prime and they are ready to go. If you are in the afternoon slot also, you will have a good sleep. You will not have to wake up very early, and you will also still be done fairly early on during the day. If it's an evening slot, you have the advantage of knowing exactly what has happened if you get to know from other sources as such. Also, you don't have to get up early, or you can relax for the entire day. Remember, whatever your slot is, just internalize your slot and say that from now on, whatever mock I take, I'm going to take it in that particular slot itself. So if you're in the morning slot, make sure all your mocks from now on are from the 8:30 to 10:30 slot. Second slot, you take your mock in that given slot only, so that your body gets used to it. Your body gets used to, if it's the evening slot, your body gets used to being in a stressed out state at 4:30 as such, so that you are more accustomed to giving mocks in that particular time slot. Okay, so and don't get stressed out by the slot. It really does not matter, because eventually all slot scores are going to get normalized. So if slot 3 is unnecessarily difficult or slot 2 is extremely difficult, whatever is the slot because of normalization, it is going to like whatever was the case for your slot, eventually they are going to make sure that they normalize it so that the slot wise influence is gone. Okay, so don't worry about all of these things. So let's get started. Good to see a lot of people have joined us, and I see a lot of people who are joining us. I want you to be very like attempt each set this time, and I want you to be careful. Keep a note of the accuracy that you are having in each in RC as such. Okay, don't worry about all of these things. If you have any RC specific questions or in general any questions, please put on the chat. I will be giving you a brief intro about what to keep in mind given the different types of RCs, and I will give you actual practice questions starting at 7:45 p.m. With the first set, and then 8:10 p.m. with the second set. So please post your doubts, and I will be taking a look at them in some time. So the first thing that you have to remember is that in general, over the last few years, the type of RCs that have come in CAT can be categorized into 3 parts. The first part is where the author is trying to convince you. So author is trying to convince you basically means a persuasive RC. You will be seeing one of that in this particular slot, particular test, where the author has a viewpoint and he is drilling down that viewpoint by trying to convince you towards having his own, to holding your views. A lot of opinion articles are of that type. A lot of any kind of article that you read where there is the author has a very clear opinion and is trying to convince you about that particular opinion is a persuasive RC. And we see a lot of it. Even when people try to be unbiased, you can very clearly see a bias or a subjective tone in most articles. It's very difficult to be clearly unbiased, especially when it is about current day affairs. Because if you talk about politics, everybody has a particular leaning one way or the other. If you talk about education, every kind of thing where it affects you personally, you will have a opinion or a bias one way or the other. So all of those things, you have a particular or the author has a particular viewpoint and he's trying to actually persuade you to hold the same viewpoint. This these kind of RCs have kind of decreased in CAT in recent days, because I think it is a kind of a minefield. They don't want to give something too subjective or too opinionated, because again, it can be taken in the wrong way. If the opinion does not match with the politically correct opinion, then it would be something that can backfire on them. So we have seen a lesser number of persuasive RCs in recent times in CAT. Most of the RCs that we see are informative RCs, where the author is trying to inform you. So when I say author is trying to inform you, there is a wide array of things that he can do. Basically, whether it's science, music, history, art, anything. The author is basically trying to tell you everything about a particular subject. So whether it is mid-century architecture or Renaissance art or anything of that sort. So the author will put some context, tell you what exactly is the topic of deliberation, and give you all information about it. These are the safest kind of RCs to put in CAT, because you can put a lot of objective questions, easy for the CAT examiner to make, and they also test your ability to digest information, which is something that they actually do want to test you on. So informative RCs are very common nowadays in CAT. The last type of RC which we see sometimes in CAT is the analytical RC, where the author is essentially thinking out loud. So what do I mean by author is thinking out loud? The author gives you a problem statement, an issue, and then considers all the possible solutions for it. The author thinks of a problem and then tries to diagnose why that problem occurs. The author gives a problem and evaluates the solutions to that problem. The author tells that, okay, this government has adopted this policy or new law, and then he tries to diagnose, is this law a good law? What are the pros and what are the cons? So in this kind of a scenario, the RC is an analytical RC. These are also something that come quite often in CAT as well as in your general newspapers and many kind of this, because essentially there is value in that kind of work. Even when you become a manager, you will have to evaluate proposals, you will have to evaluate companies. So then you have to give pros and cons, identify the issue and try to find out solutions for that. So even those kind of skills are important as for a manager, and because it is important for a manager, it is important for the examiner to test you on. So when you think of it, each of these type of RCs, you have to have certain things that you should keep in mind. I'll be answering some of the this as such, but I would also like to remind you guys, those who are joining us through YouTube, please like the stream. I see like 127 guys on YouTube and 140 on our website. Please like the stream, guys. It helps us hold more of these sessions. So please like the stream. Also, I wanted to say that don't worry, Varatul, who is you have to also, like those who are thinking about how they are going to manage their time during Diwali, don't worry, you have to also enjoy festivals. Part of the preparation should also be that giving yourself mental rest and preparing yourself for like even any kind of enjoyment where the time you spend with your family essentially also builds mental endurance, which is going to be necessary on D-Day. So don't worry, it's not time wasted. Any time that you spend with your family is not really wasted. Okay guys, is it buffering for most people? So Sandhya and Druhi is saying, just try to refresh the page, guys. I see that the connection is not bad, so just let me know if it is buffering for anybody else. Just try to refresh the page, and if the video quality is low, can you guys just check the stream setting, like your YouTube settings at which it is streaming. If it is 144p, it might be grainy because of that. Okay. So basically, as I was saying, on the aspect of mocks too. So just tell me what exactly you guys need when it comes to Akash. Just be more specific what you want. So basically what I was trying to say through the types of RCs is, I'll be giving you 2 RCs. Remember, if the author is trying to convince you, he has a specific viewpoint. Whenever a question comes on the purpose should be that he's trying to convince you about XYZ. Purpose should be that he is trying to bolster his argument. That whenever you see a persuasive RC, you should be easily be able to answer the purpose kind of questions. What is the reason behind giving this example? What is the reason behind, or what is the purpose of writing this passage? Why does the author say this? All of the purpose type questions in persuasive RCs are very simple. He is trying to do that so as to convince you about his viewpoint. Now he might do that to counteract any kind of negative argument. He might be doing that for giving X argument. But remember, the overall purpose is to convince you about his viewpoint. Now the second thing that basically helps you when you're answering any kind of purpose kind of questions when it comes to persuasive RCs. Remember, the tone is subjective, not objective. The scope has to be limited to the main viewpoint that he has taken in this particular paragraph or passage as such. There are some people who kind of get there are some students who kind of flounder in persuasive RCs where the author does not spell out his position but does everything other than spell out his position, and then the person says that okay, but the author didn't say that we should repeal the law. But if in the entire passage he is just castigating the government for passing the law, then it's very clear that he wants the government to repeal the law. So even if he doesn't say that okay, the government should take back these laws, if you are criticizing it vehemently through the passage, then you know what the viewpoint is. So at times you might feel that this is out of scope, but in persuasive, purpose is the overriding thing. So always remember, in persuasive RCs, your purpose of the writing the RC should guide you on all questions regarding the scope, tone and why something is given. The second type of RC, which is the informative RC, this is basically the RC which is science or any kind of music. Remember, many of the questions will be objective questions. Do not try to remember or memorize any information. Just remember that okay, this is detail. If something is asked about it, I'll come back to it later. Scientific explanations say that this is the explanation of how this phenomenon occurs. Don't write down how it actually occurs in your main point. That is not needed at all. Okay, bioluminescence occurs by this method. In your main point, don't write down the method. It is not needed. Just say method of bioluminescence is discussed. in informative RC, it is very important that you do not focus on the details. Just know where the details are, do not focus on them, do not try to digest them, do not try to memorize them. Very, very important. The last thing is when the author is analyzing. When the author is analyzing, remember that you have to understand the structure of the passage very well. So the author will give you context, will give you for arguments, anti-arguments, and might or might not give you conclusion. So you have to, when you are done reading the passage and you know it's an analytical RC, go through the passage and each paragraph, understand the role of that paragraph. This is context, this is argument 1, this is argument 2, this is argument against, this is the conclusion. That helps you get a very nice hold on the passage. So these are the things that I would actually say for you to remember for each type of RCs. Okay, so I'll be posting the first set very soon. So guys, get ready for the first set. Everybody who is joining us, please like the stream. Please like the stream and share the stream with whoever is preparing. Also, those who are actually joining us and who are looking for a if like one last month is left till CAT, and if you guys are looking for a way to prepare for CAT in the least time possible, I would suggest please do check out our 1 month crash course. So our 1 month crash course started yesterday, and it's basically 30 days plan, where each day you get what you have to do for that particular day. So please do go and check out our crash course. That is, if you go to Kraku crash course, I think kraku.in/cat crash course. So do check out the crash course. On that page, even if you're not subscribing to our crash course, please do go and see the 30-day schedule as such. This is very important because the 30-day schedule gives you exactly what you have to follow on each day. So even if you are a premium member or not a premium member, I want you to have that schedule with you so that you do not waste any days from now on till CAT. There are a lot of festivals coming. There are many other reasons why you might actually get your CAT preparation might get sidelined. So this 30-day schedule will keep you on track. So I'll just show you what that schedule is like. So it tells you exactly what you have to do every single day. So you have to, on the first day, for example, over here, you have to do all arithmetic videos, and you have to see reading comprehension and informative reading comprehension. So you start with arithmetic and reading comprehension. Each day you are told exactly what to do. If you are already a premium subscriber, still I would suggest that keep the schedule printed out in front of you so that you know what you have to practice and revise. It's very, very important that you have these only 30 days with you, so you don't waste a single day. So if you have something like this with you, in front of your eyes, it means that you don't really waste any given day from now on till CAT. And it's very, very important that you don't like lose track or lose track of the schedule as such. What a lot of people do is that they don't have a plan, so every day they try to figure out what should I do today. That's a very inefficient way to do things, because you are not going to be able to keep track of how much portion is there, what is left to revise, what is not, what have I already done. And if you are inefficient in the last 30 days, you are not going to reach your target percentile. So please do have that schedule in front of you. It's available for free. So please, whether you subscribe or not, please have that schedule, print it out and put it up in front of you. Okay. So let's get started. I hope everyone is has their pen and paper ready. Remember, active reading, read the paragraph, write the main point, read the paragraph, write the main point. Okay, so guys, I'll be answering your questions. Please like the stream and share the stream. I'll be posting it in exactly 3 seconds. So let's get started. Okay guys, best of luck with this first set. If you guys, it's difficult to read on the video. So if you guys are joining us, please head over to kraku.in/live. So you will be seeing the session there. Please head over to kraku.in/live. The session will be available there, and please when you see when the paper loads, okay, when the page loads, you will see the YouTube video, and below that you will see the questions appear. Click on the view instructions link. The passage will be appearing only after you click the view instructions link. Okay. Okay guys, I hope everyone is starting to solve the set. Okay, so let me try to answer some of the questions that you guys have. Okay, Shivam is asking dash CAT percentile versus actual CAT percentile. So give some advice. See, basically, I would suggest that if you are getting, we have around for the first 5 dash CATs, we have like a very good number of attempts. But still, even in that case, most of the people who are there at Krakow, who are taking Krakow's mocks, generally are the serious students who are preparing very seriously for CAT. So you will have to say that, okay, kind of like 99 plus would be 99.78 plus, or even 99.9 plus as such. 97 plus would be 99 plus in actual CAT, because essentially if you consider actual CAT, many of the guys who actually sit for CAT do not really prepare for CAT at all. They generally are just there on that day to give the test. Like out of like the 2 lakh students, I think 80-90,000 have not prepared at all for that day. So if you have prepared seriously, and most of Krakow students who give Krakow mocks have prepared seriously, you will generally be in the half that actually prepares, and by default you will be doing better. But at the top, at the first 5 percentile, you will not have because there will be like some concentration as such, but like the first 5 and 10 percentile, there would be minor shifts, but there will be bigger shifts as you go down the percentile order. Also guys who are just preparing, starting to prepare, or even if you have started preparation, please do actually check out previous CAT papers. One of the first things that you should actually do when you start your preparation for CAT is attempt previous year's papers. We have them in mock format. In case you have not solved CAT 2020, I would suggest that start solving it in the actual mock format. So CAT 2020, all 3 slots are available in mock format, and that gives you a very good indication or understanding of how difficult actual CAT is. Also, what it will give you is that if based on your score, you can also get an understanding of how much you would have scored in actual CAT in CAT 2020. So that is also a good idea for you to understand where you lie in your overall wider population as such. Okay. Are dash CAT a bit tougher than actual CAT? So Raj, what is the, I would say they are not really tougher, but what is the case is that in actual CAT, sometimes you get some sections which are easier than what you expect. For example, sometimes quant is unexpectedly easy. So you will never see any dash CAT where quant or LRDI or verbal is unexpectedly easy. We always try to hit what we assume is the moderate level of CAT, as in we have to prepare you for the medium level of CAT. If CAT somehow turns out to be unexpectedly easy, then it's always a good nice surprise as such. But every dash CAT hits the moderate difficulty level. We don't have any sections which are on the easy side or even on the very hard side as such. So we try to hit the moderate difficulty level with each section, with each mock. Yeah, Anirudh is asking, are you planning for launch any GMAT course? Yes, we are. We are in the process of making that, and we are seriously preparing all the videos etc. for that. So please stay tuned to Krakow's channel. We'll be sharing more videos on that. I recently did a GMAT quant video where I covered the entire syllabus with questions, example questions, so that you can see that video for if you want to actually get an idea of GMAT quant. How to improve accuracy in VARCs? So Diksha, basically, as I mentioned, please start working on active reading. That is basically, you read a paragraph, you write the main point, read a paragraph, write the main point. Over here also you will see all of these paragraphs. As soon as you read the paragraph, write down the main point immediately. Okay, let us see how many people are answering. A lot of people are answering, and I see that somehow some of you have gotten the first set slightly wrong. But I hope most of you are able to solve at least a few questions in this. It's not, Soumita, you don't write the summary, you write the main point or the gist. So basically, when you say summary, it generally means that it has the main point in a more detail. That you shouldn't write. So you shouldn't write long sentences in grammatically correct form. What you should do is basically you should have a 1-point gist of the paragraph, the heart of the paragraph. Sometimes I don't even write what is given in the paragraph, but what it is doing. For example, in informative RCs, as I mentioned, if a paragraph mentions how something works, so I just say that, okay, this explains how postal system works. Paragraph is doing, if you don't need to put in any details. So that is like a 10-word sentence, not a long summary. Do not try to summarize each paragraph, because summary represents a kind of exactness, or like something which requires thinking and making sure it is complete. All of that is not needed. You need not make sure that the main point is complete or has all the details. It should just represent what strikes you about that paragraph. What is the point being made in the paragraph, the purpose of the paragraph, what is given in that paragraph. In many RCs, informative RCs, I just say, okay, this is telling me how this thing works. This is an argument for scrapping the policy. This is an argument against a particular law. So when you just write even what is at the heart of that paragraph, that is enough. Don't summarize, okay? What is penultimate? Penultimate is last but one. Okay, so what is an ideal attempt in RCs? I would basically suggest is that out of the 4 RCs, you should do at least 3, and you should of the 6 VA questions do at least 4. That I would suggest is a good attempt. So anything lesser would be kind of marginal, where you are hoping that it's enough to actually cross the 95 percentile or something like that. So I would say at least 3 RCs plus at least 4 VA. That would be a good attempt. Generally, I would suggest that if you have time, make sure that you cover all RCs or all VA, depending on where your accuracy is high. If your accuracy in VA is high, make sure you attempt all VA. If your accuracy in RC is high, make sure you attempt all RCs. Okay. So I see a lot of people on this. Good to see a lot of guys. Please like the stream, guys. I see that there are many people on YouTube as well as on chat on our website. So please like the stream, guys. It would mean a lot to us. So Sujit is saying, ma'am, I'm facing a lot of difficulty in capturing the essence of the passage given. See, basically, Sujit, what you don't have to think of it in this way. Nobody is going to read that one line. Nobody needs to know whether you got all the points right or whether it was exactly right, whether it is the actual essence of the paragraph. What you have to write is what strikes you about that particular paragraph. What is that paragraph trying to do? So think of it in this way. If you were giving a section heading, what would you give? If you were writing a newspaper headline, what would you write? It doesn't have to capture everything about that paragraph. You just have to tell what is in that paragraph. That's it. What is the point of that paragraph? So if you think of it that you're writing the newspaper headline, if that as you're writing a section heading, all of that will essentially give you the idea that you have to put a very short main point, not a long summary where everything has to be perfect. Nobody is going to read it. It is there only for you to guide you as such, to keep you focused and to guide you when you are going back and answering questions. You can just see that summary. Okay, I think the time is up, and okay, there are many people who got all of that right. So good, well done, Aditya, Gaurav, and Aditya Jain, Tisha, and Utkarsh. Also well done, Prince and Akhil. So I know that this has been slightly hard for many people. A lot of people have gotten many of the questions wrong. So I think the first was slightly hard. See, this is what happens. Sometimes like the first question in the RC is wrong, but there are easier questions after that. So you see that the first and third question were wrong, but the second and fourth were easy. So always remember, within an RC also, all questions are not of the same level, and if there is an easy question, you should actually get it. Okay. So let's see the actual passage. So we'll go paragraph by paragraph, and I'll try to write the main point of each paragraph, and then we'll take a look at the questions. Basic truth is once again trying to break through the agony of worldwide pandemic and enduring inhumanity of racist oppression. Healthcare workers are risking their lives for others. Okay. So if you see what is the main point of that entire paragraph, quite a rambling paragraph as such. But one thing that actually stands out is that we are in this life together. We young do best when we collaborate. Everything is setting the context for this main point. The main point is that we do best when we collaborate. The first, he gives the pandemic and oppression or inhumanity of racist oppression, etc., etc. Examples. Then he comes to this point. Okay, we are in this life together. We do best when we collaborate. It is the only way to survive is to have each other's back while safeguarding the resilience and diversity of this planet we call home. So what is the main point of this paragraph? We do best when we collaborate. Now let's take a look at the next paragraph. As an insight, it's not new, anthropology, So if you see the second paragraph, what does it say? It says that this is not surprising because anthropologically humans have survived because we collaborated. But many people nowadays, especially corporate leaders and civic leaders and entire cultures, have lost sight of the fact that how important collaboration is for human society. So basically, anthropologically, collaboration key to human survival, but we have lost, some people have lost sight of that. Some have lost sight of that. Now let's take a look at the third paragraph. What is there in the third paragraph? Okay. This loss is rooted in large part. So if you see, this is a slightly heavy paragraph with like information given about tragedy of commons and tragedy of the private. In case you have somebody, who has read some articles or about this topic, you would know what is tragedy of commons. Tragedy of commons is basically a way of criticizing socialism and communism, where basically people say that when you have communism, the tragedy of commons is basically that nobody gets to eat in communism. That's like the key idea there. Here the author is kind of very left in his opinion. So he is saying that the real tragedy is not tragedy of commons, but it is the tragedy of private, tragedy of the private. So here he basically flaunts this idea of private interest. He says that the idea that private interest or pursuing private interest is actual human nature is the real tragedy, because it is not the case, and it has led to exploitation and it has led to exclusion, destruction, violence, etc. This is not our human nature. In fact, our human nature is to collaborate. It has the thousands of years of cultural wisdom is that we have to collaborate, and this idea of that private interest drives us is not right. So essentially, what is the author saying through this? The idea of private interest being human nature is wrong, is incorrect. In fact, the opposite is true. We are by default collaborators, and it has led to a exploitative system. Now let's take a look at the last paragraph. Even if you didn't know all of this about like what is tragedy of commons, tragedy of privates, the fact that what he's saying in the earlier part should also guide you, that he's against this individualism, private interest, me before others kind of idea, and he wants humans to collaborate. Even if you don't know about the left versus right kind of a debate, even then the first two paragraphs should guide you about the purpose. Always remember, when you have a persuasive RC like this, the purpose is constant throughout all paragraphs. There is no deviation in purpose ever. All of them have the same purpose. In this case, you can see throughout he is arguing for collaboration, for common good instead of individual good, for common goals instead of individual goals, for this kind of a collaborative human spirit which believes in common welfare. Once you get your head around what is he trying to argue, it becomes very easy to understand what his motivations are, what he's trying to say. Reading the passage also becomes easier. So just take a look at the last paragraph. In the last paragraph, he has given lots of examples. So what exactly is he saying through all of these things? So he gives a lot of examples that basically tell you that this idea of collaboration is a very old idea, and it has, like, he gives you, okay, from the Islamic Golden Age, pillars of Christianity, Enlightenment, New Deal. So he's tracing through history the number of examples where you had this idea of common welfare. And the author says that all of these ideas are civilizational goals because they have been there for so long. And these are something that we should keep in mind, that collaboration and common welfare is something that has guided us for long and should continue to guide us. So basically the idea of common welfare or collaboration historically guided us and should continue to guide us. So now that you understand all of this, I hope it is clearer. Now just go back to the questions and try to see whether you can answer them better. Okay. So don't worry. See, again, you need not agree with any of like Debraj and Gaurav, etc., who feel that, okay, this is socialism, or I would understand if I was left-leaning versus like right-leaning. You don't need to agree with the author. You don't need to understand the author. You have to understand what the author is trying to say. Because once you get a hold on what his purpose is, it becomes easier to untangle the entire passage. If you consider this passage, okay, this is not an easy read. But once you get a hold of what he's saying, okay, that common welfare, collaboration, we should all be together and like all will be happiness. Once you get an idea of it, it becomes easier to read and understand because you know what is fluff and what is actually the message. Because all of those examples were there to give the message that historically we have been collaborative. So then you don't need to remember the examples. You can just say that, okay, historically we have been collaborative. Easier to remember, easier to understand, and easier to answer also. So now that you understand, have a good hold of the passage, we can go on to the questions. So what is the purpose? We should collaborate together. We should not have these individualistic private interest ideas. That is actually historically, anthropologically, we have survived and thrived when we have collaborated, and that is what we should be like. Now that you understand, let's take a look at the questions. I think this is the last question if I'm not wrong. I think this is the... Okay, what does the author intend to convey through the penultimate paragraph? So the penultimate paragraph is the last but one. So over here the author is talking about tragedy of the private. So basically he does not like the fact that private interest has become, now it started from idea to ideology to a overwhelming system. And basically what is it saying? It is basically he's ruining the fact that this ideology has been the has led to a loss of collaborative culture. Our entire culture has gone from a collaborative culture, which has historically been the case, to a new system, economic system, global system culture, where we are individualistic and pursue private interest. And that has been destructive, violent, exclusionary and exploitative. So he has saying that this idea that we should actually just look out for yourself is bad one, which has led to all of these things. So let's take a look at the options. So what does the author intend to convey through the penultimate paragraph? Loss of collaborative culture can be traced to the rise of the ideology of private interest. That private interest is our guiding force, and he believes that it's a incorrect idea. It has not our guiding force. Our guiding force is actually collaborative culture. Violence, destruction and exclusion characterize the tragedy of the commons that stems from the pursuit of private interest. Now this is a distortion. It is the tragedy of the private. The author is for commons. He is for common welfare. He is against private interest. So this is a clear distortion, easy to eliminate. So I hope everybody was able to eliminate this option. If you are not able to eliminate this option, read each option carefully. For these distortions, you should not fall for those. Okay. The second one is the concept of private interest has rapidly transformed from a curious idea to a global economic system, resulting in the loss of certain collective qualities. It's not the loss of certain collective qualities, right? This is slightly close to it, but he's not talking about just the loss of certain collective qualities. He's talking about the loss of this collaborative culture that we had. We were somebody who believed in common welfare, and now we are in about only private welfare. So it's not about certain collective qualities. This the last bit is wrong. It's other parts are okay, but the last bit is clearly wrong. The author is, it's not that okay, there's like some negative aspects to it. He is actually very, very critical. The tone is super negative private interest. So it's not just that there is some negative aspect to it. It's a bad idea which has created many problems. So again, B is close but not right. The quality of cooperation owes its loss or declining value to the misguided belief that private interest is the driver of progress. Act the right thing, right? If you consider private interest is bad, and this misguided idea has led to this loss of collaborative culture that we historically had. So C would be better than B and captures the heart of that particular paragraph. Again, you have to see what would he agree with, and C is in agreement with the tone of the author also. The tag tragedy of the commons is misguided since the real tragedy lies not in the commons but in the private. This is true but doesn't capture the essence of the paragraph, right? The essence of the paragraph is that you have to not believe in this idea of like private interest and instead believe in common welfare. So even though true, it doesn't really capture the message as such. So the right answer would be C. Okay, let's take a look at the second one. So the second question is, sorry, I have to this. I'll move this. So the second question is, the author cites multiple examples in the last paragraph to highlight that. So all of those examples, what was the point? That historically, if you trace through history from like the early pillars of Christianity to like the New Deal and Islamic Golden Age, Enlightenment. So he is taking like a broad scape of human history to say that we have always been collaborative when it comes to human welfare, and most of our leaders, our old leaders, had this idea that we prospered together. That is what we should return to. So that is basically what he is trying to do through that examples, that historically we agreed on this kind of thing. So let's take a look at the options. The enduring idea of cooperation continues to be relevant and essential for collective well-being. Exactly true. He believes that that was something that we always wanted, that is something that we always followed, and it continues to be relevant today. That is what we should follow. That is the example that we should follow. So this he would agree with. So A would be my answer. Some individuals use the idea of cooperation for collective good. See, this is true, okay? Some individuals did actually support the idea of cooperation for collective good. But is that the purpose? Does he cite the examples for that? No. The purpose or the guiding light is that he wants you to believe that cooperation and collaboration is good. So all the examples he gives is to convince you that that is the case. So even this is just a statement of fact, but that doesn't capture his purpose, right? So B, though true, is not the purpose or the reason why. The reason why is that he wants you to believe collaboration is cool. Now option C is living wages and freedom are necessary elements to achieve social and economic prosperity. A very partial reading of the passage, paragraph. Those are the goals he espouses and supports, but that is not the reason why he is putting all of that. The main point, the overall point is about collaboration and cooperation and not just about specific issues like living wages and freedom. So again, because it is just promoting specific issues that he supports but are not the overarching point, C is also not a good answer. Civilizational insights are central to socio-economic prosperity. So what are the civilizational insights? That is like completely missing the point. So A is clearly the answer over here. This I think most of you got right because the other answers were easy to eliminate. If you guys were caught up in any of the distortions or anything like that, remember purpose comes before the details. Don't go by questions or words, or don't select options that have the same words as the paragraph. Select options that serve the overall purpose in persuasive RCs. All of the following are stated. This should have been easy, but many people actually made a mistake here. This is an objective question. Here you should just go back and refer to what is given. Cooperating, collaborating with others during trying times serves as a source of fortitude. It is given. It is given in the first paragraph. That is, when we work together, we actually thrive. In times of racial oppression and pandemic, when it is what gave us strength to survive all of that. So it is given as such. Not being particularly fast or strong as a species, our mutual cooperative enterprises are greatly responsible for our survival. Given in the second one, we are not the smartest, we are not the fastest, nor are we the strongest, but we survive because we collaborated. Given in the second paragraph. Private interest is at fault for the declining value in the belief for the collective good. This is the penultimate paragraph, that this loss can be traced to this belief in private interest. So it is also given. Living wages, right to work, freedom for all and equality are civilizational insights necessary for a society to thrive and prosper. So whenever you have a long options like that, you should immediately check for distortions. So the first part of that option is given. They are civilizational insights. But what it is doing is, it is distorting the last two lines of the passage. It is given that these two are the civilizational insights. Social and economic prosperity depends on well-being for all, not just for a few. So it's given that society to thrive and prosper, you need well-being for all, not these particular things. What is given as these particular things are civilizational insights. Are they necessary for thriving and prospering? No, that is like a distortion. The last two lines are mixed up together to make a point which is not something that is actually given in the passage. So the right answer here would be D. I know a lot of people will actually feel that one follows the other, but what is given is that all of these are stated, but this is not really stated in the passage. And we can argue that while the author supports these ideas, he might not say that they are necessary to thrive and prosper. The key, the idea that he supports is actually collaboration, that he believes, or collective well-being he believes is needed for thriving and prospering. So that is the key message he'll always support, but not all of these specific ideas. Now let's take a look at the last question. Again, I feel that was a easy question, but I know a lot of people kind of would have struggled with the first A and option A and option B. Which of the following, if true, most weakens the author's main point? The author's main point is what? Collaboration is key to our survival, our thriving, and that is what we should remember. Not private interest. Collaboration is what will help us. Collaboration is the greatest thing that we should do. So once you understand anything that weakens that not private interest, not individual interest, not goals, not your collaboration and cooperation are the key for our well-being as a human race. That is the main point. Anything that attacks it would be the right answer. So if you consider option A, individualistic societies are considerably better off than cooperative societies, as the latter is slow to adopt new ideas and lag in innovation, science and technology. So if individual societies are prosperous, better off than cooperative societies, does it not completely weaken the main point? It completely weakens the main point, because the entire main point of the passage is that if we remember that we thrived because of collaboration, we should go back to a collaborative culture. But if individualistic societies are better off, then his entire point is kind of negated. Option B, I know many people might have chosen this. Despite its few negative effects, private interest propels competition and helps society prosper. Now this is a negative point. It does weaken, but you have to see which one weakens the most. If individual societies, if the result is that individual societies do better than cooperative societies, his entire option B slightly weakens that, okay, there is some advantage to private interest, but that doesn't really completely negate his point that collaboration is our key to our survival and thriving. So B weakens, but not to the same degree as A. Option C is many critics of Edgar Villanova's claim. Again, if one supporting argument is refuted, it doesn't refute the entire claim. So you can directly eliminate any option like this, which picks at one specific evidence. Okay. Certain famous schools of thought adhere to the idea of individual over collectivism. Any appeal to authority or like peer group, again, doesn't make any sense, because people might believe whatever they want without it actually affecting the author's arguments. The author's arguments are logic-based, evidence-based. You have to attack that evidence, you have to attack that logic. Not say that, okay, somebody else believes something else. So B, C and D are easy to eliminate. A would be the answer because it completely negates the author's assertion. So I'll be quickly giving the second RC. I hope everyone is ready with the next this. Oh, okay. Are you guys able to see? Okay. Guys, I'm posting this next this. I hope everyone is okay. Let's go. I hope everyone is ready for the second RC. It's posted. Best of luck, guys. Okay, Sakshi is saying that her VRC score has gone down from 48 to 20 suddenly, and I'm practicing RCs every day. What can I do? Remember, Sakshi, focus on accuracy more than the score. See how your accuracy is in different questions. It might just be that you're taking more time to answer and your accuracy is improving, but your attempt rate is going down. Even then, persevere with improving accuracy. Once your accuracy is good, keep on practicing so that your attempt rate inches up. Then you have to focus on how much time you're taking. If you keep practicing every single day, 2 to 3 hours is every single day, your attempt rate will keep on inching up. So focus on first accuracy and then attempt rate. Have those kind of metrics ready with you after each attempt. Don't worry about the fluctuation. Focus more about what is your accuracy, what is the attempt rate. Is it okay to go back to passage for specific questions? Absolutely. Especially when details are asked, especially when there are objective questions, definitely go back and reread that particular paragraph. It is very important that you do that, especially in scientific RCs and informative RCs, because don't try to mug up the information given. Don't try to remember the details. I generally don't even remember what is given. I just say that, okay, this information is given here. I make a note of it mentally and in my this main points, so that I know that if it is needed, I can go back and reread it. So reread for every objective questions, reread that specific paragraph just to be sure. Shivam is saying that my accuracy is going down day by day, even though I do 3-4 RCs every day. Shivam, focus on whether you're getting the main points of each paragraph right. Afterwards, maybe it is pressure that is actually acting on you, because essentially you are now practicing more, and with each practice you might not be as focused. When you were just doing 1 RC a day, you might have been more focused than when you are doing 3 and 4 RCs. Still, I would say continue with the practice, but make sure that you're focused. You do not have any distractions going on, and you do not actually have a negative mindset going in. With RCs, you need to back yourself. You need to have confidence in your ability to understand. So if you are in a negative mind space where you feel that I don't trust my instinct when it comes to RCs, you will find your accuracy suffer a lot because of that. So back yourself, have confidence. Even if your questions go wrong, do not blame yourself or ability to solve RCs. Just learn and move forward. It is very, very important in RCs to back yourself and have a positive frame of mind. So Sachin, I read the passage. I knew exactly what was there in the passage as such. So essentially, I'm not reading it out loud because most of you have already read it. That's why I'm not reading out loud. But I know what is there in the passage. Again, when I say that you know the essence, when you criticize something, okay, I say that, okay, this policy is bad, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reasons. My 5 reasons, I remember that that author wrote 5 reasons. But the thing that you have to remember is that he's criticizing this policy. That is the overriding thing that you should remember in all persuasive RCs. Okay. So critical or descriptive or informative. See, tone is when you have critical RC. Critical is basically where the author is taking a look at all aspects of a particular discussion. Critical doesn't necessarily mean somebody who is criticizing, but rather a critique of something is where you are taking a in-depth look at a particular topic. So it has to have analysis. You can't just give facts. In informative RC, you are giving facts. You are explaining what is something. You are giving all the facts related to it. Descriptive RC is basically where it is about where you are describing a situation or an event or basically telling how things are. You are not going into some concept or explaining different parts of a concept. So our informative and descriptive are basically different in terms of the subject that is there or how it is being treated. In case of descriptive RCs, they are very close to each other, but essentially in descriptive RCs, you are describing from the perspective of someone who is looking in. For example, if you are considering, say, a person who is sitting with, like, say, the protester, if you are like part of the protest and you're sitting with the protesters and you describe the mood of the protest. So you're an outsider looking in about a particular event that is playing out. In informative RCs, you take a topic and you describe everything about it, all factual knowledge of it, which is slightly different than just seeing something, right? Knowing something is different from seeing and describing something. Okay, on average, how much time should I take to read this passage? Took me like 6 minutes. I think that is fine. How much time, as long as in that 6 minutes you read and wrote the main point, that is fine. If you just read, then that's on the higher side. You should read and write the main point in 6 minutes. That is fine actually, because you will be able to, then if you have written the main points also, you will be able to go through the questions quickly. Okay. Okay, so, okay guys, okay. I think some people had some lag over there. So that's what happens with a lot of people, okay? RCs is fancy words, and essentially a lot of writers have a language which flies over many readers' head. But you need not focus on the language. For example, in the last passage, did you need to understand everything that the author was trying to say? Especially when they actually rely on flowing language, you don't need to understand everything that the author is saying. Because again, that the purpose remains the same. If you see that entire passage, what he was saying could be given in like 2 paragraphs instead of 4. Because all of that was just fluff. Most of it was fluff. So whenever you see flowing language, don't be don't be diffident because of it. Language does not imply points. So if you don't understand a few words or a phrase, some people quote French out of the blue. So even if you don't understand all of that, okay, just ignore that and focus on everything else that is given in the passage. Even that is enough, because most of these kind of passages, the point is repeated like again and again and again. So you need not understand every single line to understand the passage. Okay, let's see how, so 2 minutes are left. I think this is a easier passage because again, it's an informative passage. The first one was persuasive, whereas as I said, you have to understand the purpose, the tone, the emotions of the author. The second, this one is a scientific passage, which is a part of informative passage. Remember over here, don't focus or fuss on the details. Understand what is given in the paragraph and move on. Write down that, okay, this is given in the paragraph, this is given in the paragraph, this is given in the paragraph, so that you get an overall main point rather than all individual details. Don't fuss with the details. You need not remember every single detail in a scientific passage. Of updated topics in so we have not segregated the RC passages as such. So you will have all of them together in the topic reading comprehension. I'm sorry, Neil, we haven't really split them up as persuasive, scientific and all of that. So I would still suggest that you need a good mix of RC passages, not just a specific type of passage. So keep practicing from the RC topic so that you keep getting a different kind of RC passage with each test. So let's see some more of the questions that are there. So Shivam is asking, how do I upgrade to DashCat to the sectionals also? So Shivam, if you go on to a pricing page, you can actually see this for sectionals, or you can just mail us at support@krakow.in. We'll help you with that. No problem with that. Anytime you want to upgrade, you just have to pay the difference by default. If you just see our site, we never ask you to pay twice for the same thing. Guys who are preparing for, who are just about getting their preparation started, or those who are looking for a one-stop to fill in all the gaps in their preparation, please do check out our 1-month crash course. So our 1-month crash course is beginning on, began yesterday, sorry. So it started yesterday, and we have a 30-day plan as to what you should prepare, what videos you should see. We'll be giving all the material in that crash course and like a schedule that you can follow for preparing for CAT. Everything will be given, and we are trying to make sure that you make the best use of the last 30 days. Whether you subscribe to a crash course or not, please do check out the crash course schedule. If you guys are just joining us, please head over to our Krakow crash course. So just search for Krakow crash course and you'll see the 30-day ultimate crash course. So in that, basically, if you scroll down, you have this PDF, okay, 30-day schedule. It's freely available for everybody, whether you're part of the crash course or not. Please download that schedule, print it out and put it in front of you. That schedule essentially will give you work as a guiding light when it comes to your last 30 days. Don't waste your time, don't waste any days, every day don't sit and say, okay, what should I do today? You should not be doing that in the last 30 days. In the last 30 days, you should have a very proper schedule going. When you study, at what time you take mocks, and what you are doing every single day. You should have it figured out by now. In case you don't have it figured out, please just follow this particular schedule so that you know that, okay, on this day I have to do arithmetic, on this day I have to do reading comprehension, so that none of these 30 days is wasted before CAT. Okay, so let's see how people are going. Okay, so the time is up. The first question mostly people were able to get. Find scientific and informative RCs have a higher accuracy rate. In case you have somebody who, struggles with RC, always target the informative RCs. In general, their accuracy rates are better, where there is not a whole lot of subjectivity involved in. Okay, so I'll just okay, so let's take this was, I think, throughout this was a easier RC than the first one, except the last question where the accuracy for most people dipped a bit. Are you guys able to see me? Some people are saying lag, but I see that I'm fairly well connected as such. Guys, sorry about that. Just try, please can you buffer the, please can you reload the screen? I think you just need to reload this. There's no drop in connection from my side. So guys, just please reload. Is the connection better now? Okay, sorry. Okay guys, I don't know why this is an issue with YouTube today, but it's not a connectivity issue for me, and so I hope everyone is able to see and hear me. So let's get started. This, I believe, was an easier RC for most of you guys. So let's take a look at each of those paragraphs. So what is the first paragraph saying? US health officials are urging Americans to get their flu shots to avoid a twindemic, but not just because of the twindemic. And now he introduces the main point. Okay, there was this preprint paper that was released which says that getting the flu vaccine will not only build your immunity against influenza virus, but might also allow you to produce some broad infection fighting molecules that also help you against the coronavirus as such. So essentially kind of a cross immunity kind of a thing. This is a paper which is not peer reviewed, not checked, etc. But researchers caution the research is preliminary and needs to be bolstered by more rigorous experiment. So what is the gist of it? The entire part of this is that he's introducing this new paper. The first paragraph introduces to the topic under discussion, which is this paper, which is not really proven, but which posits or kind of hypothesizes that taking the flu vaccine will help you get better immunity against the coronavirus. So what is this? Intro to paper about how flu vaccine can also help against the coronavirus. Can help against coronavirus. Okay, now let's take a look at the second paragraph. In this new study behind Nitia, okay, so what is the second paragraph essentially doing? Some statistics is given, but what is the point of that statistics? There was some study that was given, and the finding of the study was that people who took the flu vaccine were less likely to test positive for the coronavirus than those who were not, who didn't take the flu vaccine. So basically, I will not even write what the finding was, but basically finding of the study. So methodology and finding of that study are mentioned over here. Methodology is how it was conducted, and finding of the study is given. Okay, now let's take a look at the next paragraph. These findings do not prove that flu vaccines work. Intriguing study, but there could be other reasons. And the author says that, okay, there could be other reasons to explain why this kind of correlation was observed. So if you see the methodology, what they saw was that higher rates of flu vaccine were correlated with fewer cases of COVID positive test. So the author is saying this correlation could be due to other factors that were not factored in while this study was done. So basically this is kind of putting, okay, interesting but far from proven, because we need more evidence to actually prove that A is that this is actually a correlated thing, actually correlated and not caused by other factors as such. So the author is saying that interesting hypothesis, but far from proven. Okay. Now, if you come to the last paragraph, if you see, I'm in these kind of RCs, I hardly write anything, because all of these are detail heavy and you don't need the details. So I just tell you what exactly is there in that paragraph, and this should not take you any time as such. So exactly you tell what is there in the paragraph, methodology is discussed, finding is discussed. So if you back and see that particular paragraph again and check that findings wording exactly, because that is very important. Now let's take a look at the last paragraph. Studies such as these which find correlations cannot establish cause and effect. If you want to actually determine this, you will have to have clinical trials in this particular way, but having such a clinical trial might not be ethical. So in this kind of so the last penultimate paragraph also discussed one drawback, okay, that there could be other factors that explain the correlation. And over here, the second drawback is given that correlation does not imply causality, and there could be, if you actually have to prove this correlation also, you will need a better clinical trial, but holding such a clinical trial might not be ethical as such. So a second argument against the validity of the paper's result. And what further work can be done to establish the paper's work. Okay, so now that we have a hold of what is there in which particular paragraph, we can we get a sense of the passage as such. What is the sense of the passage? There was this preprint paper that is not peer reviewed that was printed, which said that okay, the flu vaccine might actually help you in fighting off the coronavirus. Not proven, not 100%. In fact, there are several disclaimers inside this particular passage saying that okay, correlation, there was basically just a correlation between taking the flu vaccine and lower test positive rates, but that correlation could be due to other factors. Correlation does not imply causality. There is no real proper evidence to support this correlation also, and that if you want to actually pursue this interesting hypothesis, you have to do a proper clinical trial, which might not be even ethical as such. So now that you get a good hold of what is there in the passage, let's take a look at the questions. Which of the following options best describes the main finding of the new study mentioned in the first two paragraphs? So what is the main finding? If you go back, what is the finding? I'll go back and see. The flu shot, his colleagues combed through. So this is the methodology. They did this. The workers who received a flu vaccine, the researchers found, were 39% less likely to test positive for the coronavirus as this. While 2.23% of the non-vaccinated employees tested positive, only 1.33% of the vaccinated ones did. So what is the finding as such? A higher percentage of unvaccinated, those who did not get the flu vaccine, tested positive for the coronavirus versus those who were vaccinated for the coronavirus. So flu as said. The ones who didn't get the flu vaccine, a greater proportion of them tested positive for COVID. Those who got the flu vaccine, a smaller proportion of them tested positive for COVID. Very important that you have the exact finding right in these kind of scientific RCs. So let's go back, let's see the options. Flu shots against the influenza virus can make a person immune to coronavirus. If you see, there are so many disclaimers. No, this is not like definitive at all. This is not about immunity. We don't know for sure. So again, in such kind of this, you can immediately eliminate option A. If you consider the second one, which is flu shots can reduce a person's for the coronavirus, which is exactly the case. What did they actually measure? They measured test positivity. Did they measure symptoms? Did they measure adverse rates? Nothing else. They just measured test positivity. And it is important you get the exact wordings right in such kind of things. So this would be the right option, because this is basically what they measured. That the rate of test positivity was lesser for those who took the flu vaccine. Flu shots could boost a person's innate ability to fend off any coronavirus infection. Firstly, this is nowhere in tune with the tentative tone taken by the passage, maybe, probably, who knows, kind of interesting kind of tone that was taken by the passage. This is like a very sweeping statement to make. Though the author says that it has broad infection fighting immunity, that is not what the main finding of that study was. It was indicated that that could be the reason, but that was not the finding of the study. Also, it is far more broad than what the actual finding was. So again, between B and C, B would clearly be the right answer. Flu shots can reduce the likelihood of an individual contracting a virus, not even coronavirus. Here you can, in this kind of question, A and D should have been easily eliminated. Between B and C, when you have two options left, see which one is more exact, which one is more precise. Precision matters in scientific RCs. Now let's take a look at the next question. I'll be... Okay, so this one is, based on the passage, which of the following statements is definitely true? In the study, the number of non-vaccinated employees who tested positive for the coronavirus was greater than the number of vaccinated employees. So in this case, what did we remember about the actual finding? It was in percent, not number, percent, proportion of people. That is very important to remember, because this is a common distortion that is involved, percent versus number. Absolute figures versus percentage figures. Also remember, while you're preparing for your RC, please do check all the logical fallacies that one can introduce in any kind of critical reasoning as such. We covered that in our critical reasoning. If you see our videos, critical reasoning, logical fallacies, you will see all of them. And number versus percent is one of those fallacies. This is a number versus percent fallacy. What is given in the passage is percent, this is a number, and number is not, this cannot be inferred at all. This is definitely not true. Because essentially the number of non-vaccinated employees might have been, if it is 100 versus 200, 2% of 100 will be lesser than, like, say 1% of 500. So number to number comparison cannot be made. People who chose to receive flu shots are more health conscious than individuals who did not get vaccinated. We don't know whether they are whether this is definitely true. The author says that this part could be the case, or this could be a factor that explains the same results. It is a hypothesis or an alternative explanation, but we don't know if this is true for sure. The author doesn't also say that, okay, this is true for sure, but he says that, okay, maybe this could explain why there was a difference between the test positivity rates. So again, this cannot be said to be definitely true. The findings of the new study need to be supplemented with additional evidence obtained via rigorous experimentation. This is a no-brainer. I'm guessing if you made a mistake in this particular question, you didn't read option C, because option C is something which is such a no-brainer. Obviously, you want extra additional evidence. If you see the entire tone or the way it is written, it is far from proven. We need to do more work before anything of this sort is established. So the author, this is definitely true as such. Netia acknowledges the point made by Divangahi that it would be unethical to deny flu shots to a randomly chosen control group. The unethical aspect was raised by Netia, not by Divangahi. Divangahi said you should have random clinical trials. Netia said that it would be unethical to do that. So this, him agreeing with Divangahi and Divangahi suggesting this, that it is unethical, is clearly a distortion of what is given in the passage. So this should have been answered correctly. If you missed over here, please be very careful in your attempts. This is something that should not have been missed. Okay. Now, this one, okay. The author presents the opinion of, I'll just remove these, this as such. Sorry. Okay. The author presents the opinion of Ellen Foxman too. So if you see Ellen Foxman, where is she introduced? She is introduced over here. She says that, okay, this is an interesting study. However, it does not have definitive evidence. And then the author explains why it doesn't have definitive evidence, because there could be other reasons that would explain why this finding was done. So she is essentially introducing the first counter argument to taking this study, essentially saying that, okay, this study should be taken with a pinch of salt, because there are other logical reasons why this might be occurring. The observed results could be explained by other factors other than the belief that the flu vaccine helps you against the coronavirus. Now let's take a look at the options. The author presents the opinion of Ellen Foxman 2. Highlight the intriguing nature of the research and the need for additional work on the topic. She is not essentially highlighting how this is interesting. She is highlighting that's a first this that okay, you know what, we should not, this is interesting, but the but part is the more important part, where we can't say that this is definitive because there could be other reasons that could explain why this the study got the results it did. So it's not about the intriguing nature, but the fact that this is far from proven. Emphasize the need for further exploration given the implausibility of the research. How is this implausible? The author, if it was implausible, then it would not be something that you discuss also, right? This implausibility of the research is like completely a distortion from what is given in the passage. The author says, okay, this is interesting, maybe possible, but could be other reasons to explain, and we need more hard evidence as such. It is nowhere mentioned that this is implausible as such. Sure, there is room for improvement and additional evidence can be presented to bolster the research. This is something that he is doing throughout the passage, not just that. So this is close, but the additional evidence is actually more from the clinical trial one than Ellen Foxman. Ellen Foxman is basically questioning the interpretation of the results. The interpretation of the results is that okay, is higher, which means that maybe flu vaccine is helping. But she's saying that okay, this interpretation is flawed because something else might be the factor as such. So C doesn't really capture this. This in fact is the point of the last paragraph where the author says that okay, we need actual clinical trials to establish something like this. Show that the research is unverified and alternative explanations so the observed result are possible, which is exactly the case. See, between C and D, D is a clear winner because in that paragraph the author says that it is far more likely that something else could be the factor which is the reason for the perceived for the observed results. So D would be the clear answer over here. Whenever you have options, okay, remove two options, A and B were clearly wrong. So when you have two options like this, take a proper look at both of them. Once you compare them side by side, it will become clearer which one is the right one and which one is the wrong one. Let's take a look at the last question. So we have the last question over here. So Netia gives one argument to undermine Devangahi's suggestion in the last paragraph. Which of the following represents the second argument that could undermine his suggestion? So Devangahi wanted clinical trials to actually see whether or not this correlation that was observed is a real correlation, and Netia said but that would involve denying the flu vaccine to a random control group, which is unethical. What would be another thing is that basically saying why having this kind of clinical trials is wrong. So if in any way you say that having these clinical trials is either wrong or not helpful, it would actually be against Devangahi's suggestion. So the first one is, by the time a large trial is conducted, many would have needlessly died from COVID-19, which can be potentially prevented by taking flu shots. If you think logically, this works because it is saying that this clinical trial will not really help, because by the time something like this is established, so many people would have died that it would not make sense delaying taking flu shots, which you should take in any way as such. So in this case, this does undermine the suggestion that the author Devangahi is saying that you should have clinical trials for flu shots. It doesn't make sense to have clinical trials because people will die before the trial is finished. So this does weaken the suggestion quite a bit. It is unethical and it would allow let people die unnecessarily. Large-scale clinical trials are cumbersome to conduct and might not provide constructive results in a short span of time. Again, even if it doesn't provide constructive results in a short span of time, it doesn't, and if it is cumbersome, the extent of the problem and the time required is not really given. So even if this is true, it might not really make his suggestion a wrong one as such. Even if it is cumbersome, if the problem is big enough, a cumbersome study is needed. If the time available is long enough, you can wait for the results to actually develop. The ethicality of conducting a clinical trial at the level of general population is debatable and needs closer scrutiny. This is exactly what he has mentioned here, right? This might not be ethical to deny people flu shots. So this is not really a second suggestion or a second argument against. This is the same rehashing of the first argument. Apart from the clinical trials, alternative ways of verifying the validity of a research exist. It might exist, but it might not be a good way of verifying validity. Even then, the suggestion is not really overruled as such, unless you are saying that the alternative way of verifying the validity is a better way and a cheaper way or a faster way. You can't really say that just because it exists you should not have clinical trials. So none of the others really overrule the suggestion of a clinical trial the way A does. So the right answer should be A. So as you can see, this is some of the questions were critical reasoning based. So this is where many people trip up in scientific RCs, where you have a marriage of science plus critical reasoning. So please, whenever you have something like this, please look up critical reasoning, logical fallacies. That will help you quite a bit in answering these kind of questions. So even if you Google search critical reasoning, logical fallacies, you will get a lot of them. Appeal to authority, appeal to bandwagon effect. All of these are logical fallacies. If you read about them, you will know how to avoid them in actual RCs. So I know a lot of you guys participated well and solved well. So it's good to see a lot of people improving also in their RCs, and a lot of people actually, assuming, came very close to getting the right answer and had two close options as such. Just remember that when you had two close options, if you made a mistake because of word choice or because of focusing on the wrong thing, that you have to, in such kind of this, if you are conflicted about two options, try to go to the next question and then come back. Maybe if you are not too constricted with that particular word choice, you might make a more instinctive answer, which might be the right one as such. Okay, good to see all of you guys who joined in. Guys, please, if you're looking for a way to prepare for the last 1 month before CAT, please do check out our 1 month crash course. It was really nice to have all of you join in for this particular session, and please keep practicing, and I hope to see you for the next stream as well. Good night guys, and thank you for joining.